What's up, everyone? Okay, so checking out a few things online, and I noticed that some major book chains in New Zealand are getting ready to pull these books, Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life, off the shelf. Hopefully they don't. Hopefully it's just talk for now. Somehow he's connected to the New Zealand shooter. I have no idea how they made that connection. That's kind of like me spraining my ankle and making that connection with Serena Williams. I don't know how they linked the two together. If you know anything about Jordan Peterson, he often talks about having an antidote for chaos and helping young men and pulling them out of a chaotic lifestyle and giving them some kind of foundation and a future to look forward to help them out with whatever their struggles are. He does not condone violence. He doesn't condone any acts of unnecessary violence. Nor do I. The shooting in New Zealand never should have happened. Those innocent people. The psychopath walked in and shot and killed 50 innocent people. It should never be tolerated anywhere in the world, for that matter. Let alone in a Western society. It's not something that we should have happen. Now, New Zealand is. They have a gun confiscation about 48 hours after the shooting. They banned guns, and now they're pulling, they're saying semi-automatic weapons are being pulled out of the hands of people. But, once semi-automatic weapons are pulled, what's left? A couple of revolvers, how long until that's gone too? Because once the semi-autos are gone, and then there's a shooting, with a six-shooter, right, with a revolver, that'll be next on the list. They're going to want to take that out of people's hands. So guns are pretty much gone in New Zealand. If they're going to pull books off the shelves, private companies, if they decide to do that, then they're a private company. You can, can't really say anything about that. They're a private industry, and if they don't want to sell the book, then, they don't have to. I wonder if they're not selling the book because they're under pressure. In that case, then, here you go with book burning. It's a form of book burning. Here you go with hate speech laws that they have already, and anti-free speech. So all because of this one shooting, they get to push their ultra left, alt left, leaning policies. So I would argue that the left adores this shooting. They love that this shooting happened. They don't really care about the 50 people that was shot and killed, the 50 innocent people. Really what they care about is that they get to push their liberal agenda. So they're happy that this shooting happened. Every time there's a mass shooting, the liberals love it. They love mass shootings. They can't wait for another one. As long as it's a white mass shooter, then they're happy. They celebrate. Don't let all the tears of outcry all over social media lead you astray. Right? You look at Twitter and Facebook, and you see these people, these selfish, attention seeking. It's all about me. Comments, these people are, my heart is so heavy, I can't stop crying, I can't believe this is happening, my heart goes out to them. Everything is me and I and mine, and are you really sitting there crying? Are you really sitting in your living room crying hysterically, literally crying? They say, I'm literally crying, I have tears in my eyes. Really? Are you really sitting there literally with tears in your eyes over 50 people that you never met and you don't know that was shot and killed? Really? It's funny, these people don't do that when the shoe's on the other foot. When an Islamic terrorist happens across Europe or America, you don't get the same attention that you do now. You don't get for any new laws for pulling guns and books off of shelves and hate speech laws and none of that. We have a ban on certain Islamic countries because of the level of terrorism coming from them, and the liberals are out there protesting against it. They're mad. It's like, well, we're trying to do something to prevent terrorism in our country, and then they're like, well, what about the white terrorists? And it's like, well, how about we stop all terrorists and we start by a ban on certain countries, and then we can work further on to the next issue. But it's just nonsense. Everybody sees what's going. Everyone with a little common sense sees what's going on with the liberal left. We see exactly what you're doing. We see that it's one-sided. We see that you're hypocrites. We see that you're not looking at any of the, objectively looking at the situation. Really what you're doing is you're just using this as the perfect reason to showcase us in a negative light, and then to implement policies that could work against us. That's all you're really doing. That man who shot and killed those people does not represent Donald Trump. He does not represent white men, cisgender, straight, white, male, patriotic Christians. He doesn't represent me, Republicans or conservatives or libertarians. He doesn't represent Jordan Peterson or anyone who reads Jordan Peterson's work or watches his lectures. He doesn't represent anyone but himself and the crackpots on the far right who are cheering him on. The rest of us, he is not a model for us. He is not, just like you hashtag not all Muslims, we hashtag not all white men. You know what I mean? So, these self-loathing white liberals out there, they love when this happens because they get a chance to, stand up and say how evil we are and how they're the white knights that are here to save the day. And when they eliminate us, then that self-loathing white liberal, that white knight, will become the new Duke of Earl or something like that. I don't know what the hell he's thinking. He's a beta male. I don't know what, a feminist beta male. What do you think is going to happen, when we lose power and we're gone, but they're going to prop you up and make you like, what, fucking king somewhere? They're not. You'll be the next to go. They'll take you out back and put a bull in the back of your head, and that's it. It's over with. You're a useful idiot. So, at this point in the game, it's just complete nonsense. This is all horse shit. Banning books, confiscating guns, hate speech laws, all this stuff that they're calling for. All to I was on Facebook arguing over some posts that I think it was the Daily News made, and I made a comment about the New Zealand shooting or whatever. And all of a sudden I get a notification from Facebook that it's against community standards, hate speech, and this and that. And I didn't even say anything hateful. What did I say? I said something about what's going on in the country with the whole immigration thing, whatever the case may be. But they pulled my comment off, and it happens to me all the time. So my comments are always getting pulled off. Every time I say something that goes against the old left, it's just insane. But I'm sure that if I would switch sides and become one of these liberal lunatic pansies, I could say the most hurtful and hateful things towards, cisgender, straight, white, male, patriotic Christians, and my comments will never violate community standards. Just like when there's a white terrorist, everyone's heart goes out, and now the country must get together and do something. When it's an Islamic terrorist, it's like, oh, well, look what we did to them. We deserve it for everything we've done to them. And it's so pathetic. The people in New Zealand, there was another story that came out I was reading that the women were wearing scarves over their head in solidarity with the shooting victims, and there was mass visuals all over the country. And it's like, oh, great. So when you're the victim of a terrorist attack by Islamists, you don't do this. You don't have this outpouring of support. But when they're the victim of a terrorist attack, here you are dressing up with a veil over your head and pretending to be an oppressed Muslim woman. This is great. It really is. It's like, talk about cultural appropriation. Is anyone there to call them out for that? But then again, they had to cover up, because if they don't, what would happen? How disrespectful would that be if they show up to a visual and they don't, the women don't cover themselves up and kowtow to a religious cult is basically what it is. They're a cult. And if you don't bow to them in any way, then they have a grievance with you, and here comes a terrorist attack, and then we're not allowed to voice our opinion about that and be upset about that. We have to just take it in and say that we deserve it. And then when we commit a terrorist act against them, we're the bad guys and how evil we are. And this whole situation is just twisted up. It's insane. And that's all I have to say. I don't know. I didn't really want to comment on this because I feel that I don't know how to be sensitive. I'm not a sensitive person, and sometimes when I speak, I just say things that, no matter how true something may be, sometimes it's how you say it, and not what you're saying, and I don't know how to say it, so I just come off, straight up, as someone who's just insensitive, and maybe that's the case, but I do believe what I'm saying is truthful, not meant to be hurtful, but it is truthful. But then again, how do you not be hurtful to the liberal left, to the liberal lunatics? Because just existing is hurtful for them, and existing, not being on their side, is hurtful to them. So I'm always going to be, offensive to them. I'm always going to be a bigot and a Nazi and a white supremacist and a troll and blah 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 blah. It goes on and on of all the things I am in their eyes because I don't agree with their twisted worldly view. So that's all I have. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the bell. I will see you guys next time. Thank you. Be well.